Welcome back to Public Affairs on Peach. Some tax filers have found themselves the victim of identity theft. It's a common problem, but there are steps you can take to stop it. CBS 46's Jennifer Mayerly has more.
Kinsey Simpson is home from college. She's on nearly a full ride at DePauw University. When home, the reality of tough times settles in for Kinsey and her mom.
We've kind of like couch hopped from place to place.
She's unemployed, so she doesn't have a job right now, and it's hard for her to find a job.
Kinsey works while away at school. This is the first year she's filed a tax return. And like many of us who receive a refund, she had plans for the money.
It'll help pay my remaining balance for college. Also, that money could have helped me and my mom out, like with gas for the week or like food.
But what she got in return was a surprise. Her e-file was rejected.
They had told me that I've already had like tax returns in my name. I was really concerned because I know that I haven't done it at all.
In fact, someone fraudulently filed tax returns in her name for the past 3 years. To file a fake return, all you need is the person's social security number. Kinsey is one of millions who are a victim of identity tax fraud, where someone else gets your tax refund.
It's a huge problem, and it is a growth industry.
Certified IRS expert Bill Nemeth sees fraudulent tax returns filed all too often.
It's easy to do. It doesn't take much intelligence. You just put your refund on a cash card, you make up some mailing address, and you're in business.
The IRS will issue a refund to the real taxpayer, but it takes some work.
You want to report it immediately to the IRS. You follow up then with a 14039 identity theft affidavit. You send that in, you do a police report, and then what I do is file the real paper return for the real taxpayer.
The IRS estimates tax fraud costs billions each year. The Department of Treasury foots the bill, or rather we, the taxpayers, do.
Is the IRS doing enough to stop these fraudulent tax returns?
My personal opinion, they're not doing enough. I'm critical of the IRS and their efforts. I think they could do better.
Here's why. Out of the millions who filed an identity theft affidavit, the IRS only investigated 5,314 of them in 2013. Nemeth says Kinsey will get her refund, but it may take up to a year.
It's frustrating to know someone else got money, especially knowing the circumstances that we have to live with on a daily basis.
The address is listed on Kinsey's returns, this Atlanta home and this home in Hampton.
Only the stupid ones put legitimate addresses.
Kinsey doesn't know if the people at those homes collected her refund, but she hopes police will investigate.
You're stealing somebody's identity, and not only is that against the law, but you're also putting somebody in a huge disadvantage.
Now, in that report, Jennifer says experts believe the problem may have gotten out of hand when the IRS allowed refunds to be put on prepaid cards. That meant people no longer needed to provide an accurate and traceable address or bank account number to get a refund. Now, to clear all of this up and actually talk about what we can do to protect ourselves, joining me now, Mark Green, good friend of mine from the Internal Revenue Service. Mark, thank you so much for being on the program.
Thank you, Adam.
Obviously, we want to hear from you guys and what you guys are doing about this issue. I mean, these things do exist.
Right.
What is the IRS doing to try to combat this issue?
Well, first of all, let me say my heart goes out to this victim or any victim that falls into a trap where their information is used or compromised, whether it's identity theft or whether it's tax fraud in this case. We cannot discuss the matter, unfortunately, due to our disclosure law, the federal law that is, prevents us from discussing an individual's tax matter. Now, what I will say for all individuals is to protect your assets, protect your Social Security number. Most importantly, make sure that you don't answer the calls that we've been receiving nationwide with the telephone scams, where individuals are seeking credit information, personal identification numbers, Social Security numbers, that type of thing. We will continue to work with all individuals who are a victim of tax fraud. We have increased our force. We have more than 3,000 individuals that's dedicated directly to working on identity tax fraud issues. Our whole agency as a whole, all 35,000 of us are looking into this matter and working with individuals to protect them from this type of scams as well as tax fraud. So we are continuously using every resource that we have in order to combat these problems. Now, what we will encourage individuals to do, once again, is to definitely choose very wisely who you have to prepare your return. Unfortunately, we have seen a big increase preparer fraud. And unfortunately, preparers, there are some good preparers, but unfortunately the preparers that we do have out here, the small amount, do cast a bad shadow over that whole tax arena. So protect your Social Security numbers, and at the same time choose wisely if you are going to choose a preparer, and at the same time, most importantly, make sure that you safeguard all your assets.
And a lot of this, too, you can do yourself. It's pretty simple, and you're going to get into some of those tips, but it's something they can go through the IRS website, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Do their taxes that route. Maybe talk about that for a moment.
Yeah, electronic filing, I tell you, Adam, we've been talking about this for some time now, and electronic filing is fast, it's safe, it's accurate, but most importantly, you have the convenience of knowing that we have received your tax return. The good news about electronic filing here in the state of Georgia is 4.5 million taxes will be filed for the whole year. Out of that, we anticipate 3.7 will be filed electronically. As of today, this morning, we are happy to say that we have nearly 3 million electronic file returns that we have received. So that does two things for us. It knows that it's working, first of all, and then the second is that most Georgians have brought into the fact that electronic filing is the way to go. It's fast, it's safe, it's accurate, but most importantly, you can get your refund back in as little as 21 days. So more Georgians have brought into that, and we expect that that number will definitely increase by the end of April the 15th.
Is that a record high online number for Georgia?
That is a record high, and that is actually one of the numbers that we have been seeking for some time, and we now at that point. This time last year, we were way below that, but we're happy to note that we have increased that number.
Fantastic, Mark. So let's get into some of the tax filing tips. We're at the 11th hour here.
Right.
And you see on your screen, we have some things up here for folks. You talked about filing electronically, right?
Yeah.
Elaborate a little bit here on more time to file.
Well, the most important thing, if you don't take away from this segment, is file something by April 15th, Tuesday by midnight. File either a tax return or file an extension, the Form 4868. What that would do is it prevents you from errors. And I brought a form here with me. This is the form itself, 4868. There's a couple of ways you can get this. You can do it the traditional way by picking this up at the library or at the Internal Revenue Service. Post office sometimes have this form. Or the easiest way is visit our website at irs.gov. Just click on Free File. We can actually file the return for you. It takes a couple of minutes to do. You get an automatic 6-month extension. What it does not do is give you additional time to pay if you owe, but it will prevent those penalties that could accrue up to 25% by not filing this form or a tax form.
Great.
So file something.
That's great. And then unclaimed refunds. Elaborate on that for me.
$28 million here in the state of Georgia that's going unclaimed. Now, we anticipate, this is for 2010, that Georgians probably forgot to file a return or didn't make enough. For a quick example, if you made less than $9,300 in 2010, you were not required to file a return. But you had a part-time job, you had any withholding, that's your money. You need to go ahead and file that return and get that money back. So mom, dad, I encourage you to look at the little ones' tax returns, the W-2s, the statements to see if there's any withholding. File a return before April 15th, otherwise that money goes back to the Treasury. In addition, our senior citizens, the elderly, if you had any type of retirement money, you didn't make enough money, but you still had some withholding taken out, you definitely want to file a return in order to get that money back.
And did you say $28 million?
$28 million in unclaimed refunds. So,
Great.
We anticipate that most Georgians will step up to the plate. And that's, by the way, that's 23,000 Georgians that have not taken advantage of this. So we anticipate that most of those Georgians will step up to the plate by April 15th and file that 2010 tax return.
Any other advice that you want to share? As we look on our screen, we have a few more things come up here. More time to pay.
Yeah.
You want to tell us about that?
Well, the most important thing is if you owe money, and I've seen this over the last 28 years, individuals who owe money don't file a return, file something anyway. We will work with you independently. What we have at our program, or better yet, we have a program set up at the Internal Revenue Service that we sit down with each individual, set them up on an installment agreement that fits their needs as well as the best interests of the government. So file a return, request an extension if need be. If it's less than $50,000, you can do us online. We can set up an installment agreement up to 6 years. If you have any questions whatsoever in these late hours, visit our website at irs.gov. We have the answers there for you. And at the same time, by all means, just reach out to us.
And there's the phone number, 800-829-1040. I like that, 1040. Very good, Mark Green. Thank you for being on the program. Stay with us, though, because we're going to have more from you in a moment. But we'll be back with more tips on what to do when you wait until the last minute to file your taxes. I know you're out there. Come back. We'll have more Public Affairs on Peach after the break.